Hello, welcome to episode 225 of the Datapack tutorial series for 1.2, 1.8. Although this is going to be mainly resource pack, to be honest. The Datapack is going to be kind of useless. We're going to be doing composite textures for items with data. What do I mean? Let me just run a function to give myself an item. And I've given myself an arrow. But it's actually two icons. The green bit is a background. And then I've overlaid my own icon on top. So it's basically, I've just made the arrow purple. I mean, it looks like a tipped arrow, but, and you'll notice that if it's in my hand, you see it in my hand there. Can I wave it? Yeah, there we go. That doesn't have the green background. And if I throw it on the floor, it doesn't have the green background. So the green background only is for when it's in your inventory. Let's just use one of these chests from my Datapack. There we go, so the green background's there. Not for when you're holding it, not for when it's on the floor. So that's what we're going to be doing. What am I going to be using it for? The Datapack I'm making has compressed items, and I thought I could use a background just to make them stand out a bit. So this is me playing around. So let's go and have a look at the Datapack. I should say thank you to Starflyer because it was their suggestion, and it's a pretty good suggestion, to be honest. So all we're doing here is we're giving ourselves a normal arrow, but it's got some custom model data, and the custom model data is item.background.infernalDevice. You can call that whatever you like. You could call it give my item a background, please. But we just have to reference this name later, which is what we'll be doing. So let's shrink some of this down, and we'll go to the resource pack. And we're just going to have a look through it at first, and then we'll make another item. So in the resource pack, first thing that's happening is it's an arrow. So it's coming into here, into the Minecraft namespace. And it's going into items, and it's saying, oh, it's an arrow. I'll use this file. And it's looking at this file here. Now it looks a little bit complicated, but we'll do a little breakdown on it. So the first thing, we will select by custom model data. And remember, that's what I said, item background.infernalDevice. That's just what I called it. Now, if it doesn't have that, it's going to come all the way down here and fall back to item arrow. So if I give myself a normal arrow, give myself an arrow, it's just a normal arrow. It doesn't have that custom data. So, where on earth has Sublime Text gone? So it's coming in here, it's saying, no, it doesn't have this data. I will drop all the way back in line to this fallback, and I'll just give them a normal arrow. Okay. If it does have this custom data, then it's going to check the display context. So, when it's in a graphical user interface, it will be a composite, and it will show the background. So it'll put the background down first, and then it'll put my arrow on top. If I change the order of these, the background would be on top and the arrow would be underneath. So background first, then arrow. But if it's not in the GUI, then we will drop down and stay in line to this fallback. And I'll just give them, I'll just put the texture on for my arrow, which means it will have that little purple tip. That sounded a bit rude, sorry. I should have thought about that before I chose purple, shouldn't I? So that's what we're going to be doing. So coming in here, and then it says, okay, you do have this custom data. You are in the GUI. I will need to reference this model, and I'll need to reference this model. So it's going to come off into the Datapack, which is here. And it'll say, okay, but the namespace was IDYT225RP. I need to look for a model. I need to look in item. Ah, there's background. Background. Nice little one, that one. And arrow will be basically the same. And arrow. So, that's what these are pointing to. This one, my arrow here, and my arrow there. It's pointing to those models. And those models are pointing into my namespace item background, and this one is pointing to my namespace item my arrow. So that is going to my namespace, textures, item, and then it's using these two textures. Okay, so I think what we'll try and do is, let's give ourselves a different item. So let's make another give command in our Datapack. In fact, easier to copy you, won't it? Control copy, there we go. And we'll call you give, let's just call it stone. That'll do. I'm trying to think of any item. Sword. Give sword. Right. I'm going to give the player an iron sword, and it will have the custom data item background infernal device. Okay, so let's save that. So what it's going to do now is it's going to come into our resource pack. It's going to come into the Minecraft namespace. It's going to go into items. We need to override the iron sword. So I think I will just grab it from the actual jar file. Where are we? Assets, Minecraft models, items? No, I don't think we want to be there. Minecraft, items. There we go. Let's find iron sword. Dooby-dooby-doo. Iron sword? Where are you? There we go. Let's pop that in there. Okay. So now that's going to come into iron sword. And it should just give me a normal iron sword. I would say let's test that. It's always good to test stuff. So let's just do an F3T, reload pack. Well, first of all, we'll just grab an iron sword from the creative inventory. There we go. And then we'll also do a reload function, give sword. Let's do a data get on that. Data get entity myself selected item. Okay, so that sword has the background custom data or custom model data, and this one should just be a normal sword. Okay, look the same at the moment, and that's not surprising because we haven't. We've just left this as default, so it's coming in here. It's saying yes, it's a sword. You've overridden it. You want me to use the texture from Minecraft sword. Fine. That's what it's doing. We want to change that. We don't want to use that model. We want to make this a bit more confusing. So let's pop over to Misode, and this is the confusing bit. Right, I think probably best if we just reset to default. And let's have a go at this. Can I remember how to do it? Right, type. I think we want to do a type of select. What property do we want to check? Well, the first thing we want to check is that custom model data. Custom model data. And then we're going to add a case. And we're going to add a fallback. So the case. When custom model data is item background.infernal device. Let's copy that. Switch that away. When it equals that, then use the model. Actually, we want to use we also want to check if it's in the GUI, which means we'll have to do a select. So when it has that custom model data, and we'll do a select on the display context, cases, GUI. Okay. So when it has custom model data and display context GUI, then we will have a composite. And the composite will be a model. The model will be our namespace, which was idyt255.resourcepack. Let's also, and then we need item. Yeah, we need item. And we called it background. Okay. And we'll have another model. And for this, we'll just use the normal iron sword. So we'll just go model. And for this, we'll just use Minecraft iron. Won't find it like that, will I? Probably easier just to type iron sword and it'll get the path for me. Iron sword. There we go. So, it has the custom data. Yes. It is in the GUI. Yes. Put the background, then put the normal sword over the top. Okay. But what if it's not in the GUI? We need a fallback. So we'll copy that sword there, copy, and we'll get the first fallback. Will be a model, and it'll be that sword. And what if it doesn't even have the custom data? Then we need the last fallback. Minecraft sword. Okay, so let's save that. Copy it from over there. We'll take it back to... It's a habit of going into into the resource packs. And we're going to overwrite this. Or we'll just mess it up. There we go, we'll overwrite that. Save. Okay, quick check. Select model data. If it has this model data, then is it in the GUI? If it is, run these two textures. If it's not, use this texture. If it doesn't have the custom data, use this texture. Okay, you notice we've got two fallbacks which are doing exactly the same thing. But in my previous version, this was pointing to my arrow. That's what gave it the color. But we can make some changes later. So let's go back. Let's do a reload, F3T. Okay, so we can see something's happened. That's not what I want. Let's have a look in here, see if we got missing block model, ID, YT, RP, item, background. Okay, right. So missing block model. So we're telling it to go to my resource pack, and look, I can see we've got a dot there, not an underline. So let's correct that. Let's go back. Let's do another reload. Okay, still not happy. Why are you not happy now? Let me clear all those logs. Reload again, just so we've got a clear log. Missing block model ID YT255. Well, now that time, sometimes I make mistakes on purpose. And I'm going to have to say that time I did not make that mistake on purpose. I can't even remember how to get back to where I am. Sublime text, please. 255. No. 225. Save. Okay. Let's clear all logs. Let's do a reload. Stop it. Reload, please. Thank you. Ah ha ha ha. There we go. So we've got our background with the sword on top. Nice. What if we wanted to change the sword? Like my version, you can see I've got a bit of colour on there. So why don't we do that as well? Right, what we'll need to do is we'll say, okay, if it doesn't have custom data, fall back to the normal sword. But if it does have custom data, fall back to my namespace. And we can just keep the name as Iron Sword, but just to make it clearer that it is a completely separate thing, I will call it my Iron Sword. My Iron Sword. Okay. Now, we haven't made this file. So if we go into my namespace, models, item, there is no my Iron Sword file. So it's going to fail. It's going to get here and go, well, the file's not there. I'm going to fail. Okay, so I think probably what we'll do is we'll copy that. So let's go back to the jar file. And we'd want to go, I suppose we want to go to models, item, and we'll find the Iron Sword. Oh, there's lots of iron stuff, isn't there? And we'll pop that in there. In you go. So now it should be happy. It should come in here and find this, and this will point it to the vanilla sword. So effectively, we shouldn't have changed anything. It'd probably just work exactly the same. So let's do an F3T. Uh-oh. Doesn't like something. Let's have a little look at our log. ID YT to my iron sword. Okay, well, probably what I've done is I've just left it called iron sword and I didn't rename it, did I? Yes, I've just called it iron sword. So, my iron sword. Yes, can you find that? There we go. So it's found my iron sword, but my iron sword isn't really doing anything. It's just pointing it. That's an old one. I can notice that little red. Let's close that. Don't save it. Let's close you. Let's get a fresh. So my iron sword is just pointing to the vanilla item. Well, I don't want that. I want to make my own sword texture. So let's ID YT 225 and we'll say my iron sword. Okay, so now it's going to come as far as this and it's going to say, okay, you want me to look in your namespace for an iron sword. So it's going to come into my namespace, it's going to go into textures, it's going to go into item, it's going to say my iron sword doesn't exist. Okay, easiest way then, I think, is we'll go back to the jar file, we'll go to the textures, we'll go to item, we'll just grab the normal iron sword. Iron sword. We'll chuck that in there. This time we won't forget to rename it. My iron sword. So now we've still done exactly the same thing. We're still using the vanilla texture. But let's try it. So it should look exactly the same. Yep, looks good. Let's chunky, let's open you with some sort of editing thing. I hope that's open. Good. It takes ages otherwise. Let's just do to this what I did to the arrow. You can see to the arrow I just put a bit of purple on top. So I'm going to switch its mode to an RGB. I'm going to get that purple's already selected. Let's just, I don't know, put a little bit of purple down there. Like that. That'll do. That's all we need to do. And we'll just do File, Overwrite. Okay, so now, can we see? You're going to open really small, aren't you? Oh, no, we can kind of see. Can I zoom in, please? I hate this program. Yeah, there we go. We can see the purples on there. Cool. So now we should F3T have a little purple line on our sword. Yeah, there we go. And you'll notice again, if we throw it, it does not keep that. We don't want that background when it's not in our GUI, so we throw it, we don't get the background. Okay. Now, kind of the advantage for this is if I was going to make, or I said, my example is compressed items. So in my Datapack, you can get things like cobblestone and dirt and loads of blocks, and you can compress them all down. Now, instead of having to change every single icon, what I could do is just say, hey, this block is compressed. Give it some custom data that says, I don't know, item compressed. And then the model file will go and have a look, and it will go in to the Minecraft folder, and it will go in, and it will say, oh, is this item compressed? Oh, then I better give it a background. And then every single item that is compressed has a nice little background, and you only need one texture. But in case you wanted to change other textures as well, we've got the extra fallback there. Okay, hopefully that made sense. I've been playing around with it a little bit. Thanks to Starflyer for suggesting it. I think it's a very nice solution. And you can add the extra advantage that if someone says, oh, but I really hate the colour green, I wish it was red, then all they have to do is come in here, text, and just change the background. And the background would change for all the items. Why not? Why not? Why not? Let's do it. Open up the background. Open with, it's probably already open, isn't it? I've got two open now. Let's just grab a colour. Let's go. Oh, I want the background to be blue. Okay, you can have a blue background if you want. That's fine. We'll just fill that in there. Oh, it's solid blue now. You don't have any opacity. Let's give it a bit of opacity just for fun. 50. There we go. And we will overwrite the background. So now our background is blue. And if we go in here and do an F3T, background for all the items is now blue. There we go. We've only got one file to change. Pretty cool. Anyway, that's it for today. Sorry about the delay. I've been feeling a bit rough and I've been very busy. Just not had the time. Getting back on it though. I will see you soon. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.